She is the first master of wines in India. Our guest is none other than Sonal Holland, India's first and only master of wine, one of the world's most prestigious titles in the field of wine. A trailblazer, educator, and entrepreneur, Sonal has been instrumental in shaping India's wine culture. She is the founder of Sonal Holland Wine Academy, which has trained thousands of professionals and enthusiasts, and also the Soho Wine Club, which curates premium wine experiences for Indian consumers. Recognized amongst the country's most powerful women in business, Sonal's journey from the corporate executive to global wine authority is nothing short of inspiring. In this conversation, we'll explore her passion for wine, her insights on India's evolving palate, and what it takes to turn a personal passion into a powerful brand. Welcome to our college, Sonal. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
The pleasure is all mine.
So let's get right in. From a Marathi mulgi belonging to a middle-class family to becoming the wine icon of India, how has your journey been? Tell us about it.
So I was born in a middle-class Maharashtrian family, and I grew up in a very typical Maharashtrian environment. Both my parents were government servants. My father worked for the RBI, my mother worked for the BMC. And my mother was a teetotaler, she still is. My father was a very occasional whiskey drinker. So I wasn't really from any sort of an alcohol or a wine background. And we had very humble beginnings because it's not like we went for any fancy holidays or ate at very luxurious restaurants. And neither was I from a school which was like a branded school. But my parents always were very protective, very caring, extremely loving. I think I was privileged to have a rock solid upbringing and parenting. And I truly believe that it was really good parenting that primed me for success in my onward journey. A lot of people tend to ask or assume today about me that maybe I came from a very privileged background that primed me for success. And I always say that it's not privilege upbringing, but a rock solid parenting that primes you for success later.
Yeah, I guess so. And that also gave you wings to fly in whichever direction you wanted to. So the WSET journey, you did 1, 2, and 3, and then went on to do your diploma, and you also did your master's in wine. And like you've always said, and you've said in your book as well, that it's a very tough journey. So how should the students be prepared, or how should they gear up for a journey like this, which you started at the age 33, and maybe they could start a lot earlier and try and reach where you are? What would you say?
I would say there's a few lessons to take away. Firstly, whether you're 33 or you're 21, whenever you decide to do something, and once somebody has decided that they want to pursue a career in wine, then the right time to act upon that idea is now.
Right.
I think one of the things that worked in my favor is the day I decided to pivot in my career at the age of 33. Whilst to the outside world it might have seemed already too late, in my head I was prepared to invest the next few years in learning about wines in order to then build a career and shape my career thereafter. So I think firstly that whenever that idea occurs to you, it's really important to have the courage and the conviction to act upon that idea. Another important thing I would say is that once you embark on that idea, and you've set yourself a goalpost. So in my case, my goalpost was I wanted to strive to be India's first master of wine, because I saw that as an opportunity. I saw that there were no qualified wine professionals in the country, and the master of wine qualification was the world's most coveted and the world's most respected title. And I wanted to earn that for myself and for India as a whole. And once I set myself that goalpost, I did not want to stop. I did not want to take my foot off the pedal. So I think one thing that worked favorably for me is the minute I realized that I knew nothing about wine, but I wanted to be India's first master of wine, I decided to invest in myself, go for the education. And at the time I had to, invest to learn from overseas, which was the WSET in London. And but I did not stop. I did all my courses in very, very quick succession, whilst parallelly also pursuing a career in wine, trying to build opportunities for myself. So I remained active, but most importantly, I did not stop. I decided not to take my foot off the pedal. I did not take a single year off, which ultimately culminated into a 10-year long journey. Some of the early education that I got from the WSET up to the 2-year diploma, and thereafter 6 years on the Master of Wine program. And it was very, very challenging on the Master of Wine because being the first from our country, I had no mentorship opportunities. There was a complete lack of good quality, high quality wines that I could taste and practice. And I really had to invest significantly in travel overseas to, whether it was to wine regions around the world, meeting wine producers, tasting wines at trade shows, seminars, conferences, whatever help I could get from whoever at that point. That person was an angel for me. And I decided to just give it my best and kept going, kept pedaling. I think that's important, to not stop and keep pedaling till you reach your goalpost.
And I think you've mentioned in your book that when you came back and you realized that you can't be sitting at home waiting for the job or anything to happen. So you walked up to the Wine Society of India and you asked them, and they were so happy to have you. And after that, you mentioned that there was an article that you wrote in Bombay Times about wines and roses and how good that felt. So share your moment of joy with us on that.
Thank you. And firstly, thank you for reading the book. This book has, it's my memoir, but it's been a very, very personal process for me. Very cathartic as well, because I had to recall so many moments from my journey and sort of pen them down with the hope that some of these lessons will inspire the young professionals of today for their onward journey. And I'm deeply grateful for everybody who has a copy of this and is able to go through it, because everything here is real, it's a true story, and I've tried to put it down as authentically as possible. Some special moments were, so yes, you are absolutely right. I don't think, for a lot of people, they think that once they've embarked on a journey and they've got a certain level of qualifications and certain credentials, that work should automatically simply fall in their laps. But life is not like that, because at a time when I was pursuing all these qualifications, I stood singular and exclusive in these qualifications and all of that. So a lot of people, whilst they started appreciating my efforts, they didn't really know how they could make use of my knowledge, how they could benefit from it for their own understanding. And so I think I had to also think a little bit like an entrepreneur and go with ideas to people and say, look, I have an understanding of wine. I know this. This is how I can help you. Like, I walked into the Wine Society of India office and I said, look, you are into running a wine community, a wine club, and you are sending shipments of wines to members. But how about I come in and start conducting wine tasting sessions or wine masterclasses or workshops, because I have the ability to communicate about wine and I have an understanding, and these are my qualifications. And they were absolutely delighted. They welcomed me with open arms and they were like, okay, when can we start and where were you all this time? So I think the point is that I had to create these work opportunities, and I feel that people who feel that, okay, now I have the credentials, now I've attained a certain level of success, work should simply fall into my lap, are actually fooling themselves. I truly believe that if I had just stayed idle and I had not worked towards my goals, I would have probably remained unemployed myself. And the true lesson to truly learn here is that, work starts from where you've reached a certain level of success. It doesn't end there. The journey actually starts there. The journey towards building something, to the journey to creating a meaningful impact, and to be making a meaningful contribution. It actually starts where a lot of people perceive as the end. So I have never stopped learning and I have never stopped trying.
Yes, and you've been wearing a lot of hats. I see that you have an academy and you're writing a book. You're also a consultant. You're also attached to a lot of events, the awards that you have initiated. Tell us about the different aspects of your work and what all you're involved in, the event management,
Yes.
and all those things.
So we're involved in a number of things. We're in education, consulting, events, organizing trade shows, consulting for hotels, airlines, being very active on social media, creating awareness, writing a book. I think the point here really is that the wine industry in India has still not assumed a certain level of depth. If you look at countries like Europe, wine industry is very deeply established there. It's very integral to their culture now. It's not the case for us. Our tryst with wine is only 2 decades old, for as long as I've been in the industry. And I think one of the good decisions I made earlier on in my career is that where there is no depth, one should establish breadth. Because
Right.
you can either go deep or you can go broad. And I felt that if I only chosen to be just a wine writer, or if I had chosen to be just a wine educator, perhaps I would have not had adequate opportunities to build something substantial by way of scale. So I decided to achieve scale by going broader and try my hand at many different activities. And I think that's valuable advice for young professionals, because also when we're young, when someone's young in a new industry that's also kind of a sunrise industry, one may never know what they're truly good at or where they might achieve great success. So in that sense, then it is important to have the courage to try your hand at many different things. Because when you try your hand at many different initiatives, some don't work out. Like I can
Right.
name a few things that did not work out for me. And I have mentioned those in the book too.
Yeah.
Some places where I failed miserably. And some places where I also felt I didn't have enough interest or enough fire within me to continue pursuing. But then there were some others that I succeeded in. And those were all for me signs on where to move forward. So I think sometimes the path is unknown to you, but it's important to still start walking down the path and try your hand at many different things, because only through your own experiences, the path carves itself. And that's how it shows you the roadmap, and that's how you sort of move forward.
Yes, that's true. So, when you got this, congratulations on your Wine Influencers Award that you got in Spain. And it's a proud moment even for India, because, we are just in the nascent stage of beverage industry and we're just growing slowly now. So, what was it like? How did you get invited? How did you get recognized? So is India now on the world map?
It was such a beautiful experience. So this awards was organized for influencers that create content in wine from all over the world. And they were nearly close to 150 or 160 wine influencers invited from several different countries. And it was a competition. There was a voting system, and people got awards in different categories. So the award I got was the best wine communicator in the world at the Vino Influencers Global Awards. It was a phenomenal event because they first took us on a cultural tour showcasing the rich history and the legacy of Spanish regions.
Right.
Also from a tourism perspective, not just wine regions. And they took us to some beautiful regions within the Castilla-Leon region of Spain, which then culminated into this gala awards evening of the awards evening. And honestly, none of us knew who was winning. So we were a group of wine influencers, and I feel very humbled to think that the best wine communicator award in the world would go to an Indian. I feel very proud, and even beyond my own personal success, I feel very proud that I was able to place India on a global map through this initiative. We started creating content on social media sometime around COVID, actually.
Right.
I used to be on Instagram even before that, but I think COVID was the time where I sort of deeply reflected on what did I need to truly do on social media. We had a lot of time on hands because work came to a standstill at that time. So I kind of self-reflected, and I thought, what can I do that will add meaning, that will add value? And I realized that I had this vast young population and a population of curious people about wine who knew very little about wine, And but they were curious and they were thirsty for the knowledge. And I had the knowledge and the opportunity to communicate and create awareness about wine, but I had to simplify it. I had to make it simple to understand, and I had to be relatable. And I thought the social media and Instagram would be the perfect platform to start doing that. And that was a very, again, quite a brave and a courageous move, because if I typically look at masters of wine from other countries, it's not unusual. Most masters of wine would tend to write heavy academia books,
right,
or create some kind of knowledge platform which it caters to the already evolved,
right,
you know.
right.
So from my perspective, I think it was quite a courageous move as a master of wine to say, no, I'm going to start here.
Right.
But I was realistic. I looked at my market, and my market was India. I'm interested in the Indian market and grooming it upwards. And I was of the opinion that if the consumer is here, then I'm willing to meet them here. If the consumer is there, I'm willing to meet them there. I'm willing to meet you anywhere you are in your journey of wine.
Right.
But on a mass appeal level, I felt that to simplify wine was the best strategy to follow, and it has paid off, because I feel proud to say I'm the most followed master of wine in the world.
Absolutely. And in fact, I mean, I see your reels regularly, and I see that there's so much education in it. It's engaging, and it gives you so much information, and in small bits and pieces, so you can retain it.
Yes, because a lot of the young consumers, they want snackable ideas.
Right.
You know, people have shorter attention spans. People want information in bullet size points, and nobody wants very verbose thesis on any subject for that matter.
Right.
And I realized wine is complicated already.
Right.
So the best way to simplify it was to break it into small snackable ideas that were easily digestible. And we've had so much fun. We feel proud to say we've created nearly over 1,000 videos in the past 5 years, because somewhere along the line, I think in 2022, we switched to creating one piece of content every day. So we've put out one video every single day.
Going even today?
Even today.
Wow.
You'll see us release one piece of information, one video or a carousel or something every single day.
Wow, that's something. Now coming back to your book, 1 in a Billion is a title that is very close to your heart for a special reason. Would you like to share that?
The Master of Wine journey was a really difficult one, and especially as a mother, because my daughter was 1 year old when I started the Master of Wine program, and it took me 6 years to earn the title. So she was 7 on the day that news came to me that I have finally become a Master of Wine. And in those 6 years, as a mother to a toddler, to a newborn, there were so many moments where I was away. I discovered that mother's guilt is real, because I would cry. I would feel so bad about leaving her back home and just go absconding. And I would have all these moments of self-doubt and fear. And I would say to my husband that, my daughter will grow up one day and she'll say, who's my mom? She might not recognize me. But my husband was so wonderful even at that moment. He was to keep reassuring me that none of this would happen and that she would be very proud of what I had achieved one day. So the day I received the news, it was Ganesh Chaturthi day. So everyone, my parents, my sister, my husband, my daughter, they were all around me. And we were in the middle of a Ganpati Puja, and the phone rang from the UK. And I picked up the call, I got the news. And obviously I was crying, laughing at the same time. I didn't know what I was doing. I was absolutely out of control. So my daughter came to me and she hugged me and she said, why are you sobbing and laughing at the same time? And I said, Mama has stayed away from you all these years, and this is as much your journey and your sacrifice as it is mine. But Mama has got the great news today. She's become India's first Master of Wine, and that makes me the only Master of Wine. And she's like, Mama, is it true you're India's only Master of Wine? Because that makes you 1 in a billion. And that was such a moving moment for me, because she had just paid me the greatest compliment of my life. And I hugged her, I gave her a big hug, and I said, thank you, Rihanna, that's going to remain my greatest compliment ever and my greatest tagline as well. So 10 years down the line, this was in 2016, now in 2025, when I thought of writing the book, I didn't even have to think for 5 minutes of what the name of this book was going to be. I knew it straight away. It had to be 1 in a billion. It's my way of paying tribute back to my wonderful daughter, who was with me through this entire journey.
I'm sure she's very, very proud of you. You talk about having the winner's mindset in your book. So what does that mean? I mean, how can one cultivate it, or was it inborn, or how did it help you?
So the winner's mindset is, sometimes when you're pursuing something in your life that is very, very difficult. So for me, that moment, it was the Master of Wine title. And I faced a lot of setbacks, a lot of failures. The exams were truly very difficult to pass. And the opportunities for me to learn were very far few in between. So I was really trying very hard and swimming against the tide to try and earn this title. And on all of those difficulties and the impossibility of earning the title, it's all beautifully, hopefully articulated in the book. But someone from the institute said to me, that struck with me, this person who teaches at the institute, she said to me, the day you will feel like a master of wine, you'll become one. So it's not about becoming one and then feeling like one. The day in your head you walk into that exam room and you say, I'm a master of wine already, I know this, I've got this, is the day you will get it. Mm-hmm. And that really resonated. I don't know, it just kind of struck me hard. And then my entire mind shifted on the way I needed to prepare for the exams. So thereafter, when I prepared for the exam, I prepared in such a way that the exams sort of seemed irrelevant or less relevant. For me, it was like, I now need to know everything I can about the subject and get myself to a level of competence where I don't care what comes up in that exam. I'm going to tackle it head on. And I walked into that exam that day, I remember, exactly with that mindset, that you put any wine in front of me now, I'm just going to answer like a master of wine. I'm going to answer like a true expert. When that mindset shift happened, is the day I walked out after my paper and I said, I've got this. I know. I had a feeling within me. I already knew that year was going to be the year I was going to get the positive news. I refer to this as a winner's mindset. The other thing about a winner's mindset is often when you try to achieve something, like a batsman wins a match in that last over, or an athlete is running and he does that, or someone's climbing Mount Everest and he reaches the top. If you ask them to replicate that same success the next day, if you ask that athlete, can you climb Mount Everest a month later, he may perhaps not be able to do it. Or that same athlete may not be able to run in that same speed and achieve that same record,
Right.
Often when you're trying to achieve something that seems very, very impossible, it's a culmination of many things that come together for you. Your hard work, all your knowledge, your razor sharp mindset, that winner's mindset, a little bit of luck and your prayers working in your favor, the adrenaline rush, the way you're managing the stress and the time management. Somehow all of these come together and the magic happens, and you almost don't know how it happens. It's created. I think even the iconic legendary cricketer Kapil Dev talked about this.
Yes.
When they won the World Cup.
Yes.
It's like, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
But it just, something happened, something changed, and it happened. So I think in the book, I talk about this winner's mindset, which is like you get that one moment where you're in it to win it.
Right.
And that happens. But that only happens if you've backed it up with enough hard work. It doesn't just happen by fluke.
I know.
You have to back it up with enough hard work, enough of everything. And I experienced that moment, and I'm so grateful I did.
Yeah.
Because it happened.
I mean, you are the first in a lot of things. But having said that, in an industry which has been male dominated, and yet you've made a place for yourself, I must say, on a pedestal very high, and people are still struggling to get there. So being a woman, what were the challenges that you faced?